Hello, my name is Jauhar, and I am a lawyer and a social policy researcher working with a think tank based out of New Delhi, India. My work centers around the intersection of law, technology, and policy, and especially on issues of AI ethics and governance and AI's integration within our legal and justice systems. I want to first thank the organizing committee and UNESCO's working group on information accessibility for giving me this opportunity today to speak at this forum. I will be briefly discussing India's experience developing and piloting AI interventions within our justice system. And for this, I will start by giving you a broad overview of how the digitization process of Indian courts has occurred since the early 2000s under the e-courts mission mode project. I will then enunciate the trajectory of AI and our justice system over the last 2 years and how these tech interventions have been geared towards more efficient courts and improving the overall access to justice. Particularly, given that today's conference focuses on informational access, I will deep dive into an algorithm that the Supreme Court's AI committee piloted in 2019. The algorithm was designed as a neural translation tool to be tested in limited courts across the country. Simply put, it's an expeditious and cost-efficient manner of translating court orders and judgments into 9 Indic vernaculars to make the rulings more accessible to large non-English speaking populations. So with that in mind, without further ado, let's delve right into it. In 2005, under the larger nationwide effort to digitize the public sector, and introduce e-governance, the e-courts project was conceptualized to integrate conventional information and communication tech within Indian courts, particularly at the district level. For this, an e-committee was constituted, which was required to steer this process. The e-courts project was intended initially to be implemented in a phase-wise manner. Phase one was commenced in 2007, was largely to target the delivery of requisite computing hardware to district and local courts, which we also call as taluka courts, across more than 600 districts in India. Phase two was the more innovative part of the project. In it, several software and programs were designed to automate numerous aspects of the judicial process. This ranged from purely administrative tasks like filing of cases and payment of court fees to more novel use cases like creating a national data grid, judicial data grid, which is a statistical repository of a lot of court information. The second phase of the e-courts project came to a conclusion in 2019 when the judiciary had witnessed great and interesting innovation. However, it was only beginning to think about more emerging technologies like AI, and as such, around April 2019, the Supreme Court of India internally constituted an AI committee to deliberate on this. The genesis of this conversation is also concomitant on how India as a country established its national dialogue on AI. In fact, in 2018, just a year before the constitution of this AI committee, India joined the expanding group of countries to prepare and publish its own comprehensive national strategy document for ushering in the age of AI. Curiously, the justice system was actually not listed as one of the sectors for AI's deployment. Nonetheless, with the culmination of phase two of the e-courts project, which I just mentioned, the newly constituted AI committee went to work. A few ground rules were quickly established. First, from the outset, the objective of AI algorithms, as has been the case with most interventions for the Indian judiciary, was to bolster administrative efficiency. Second, AI was to facilitate more sophisticated automation that supplements judges and not supplants them completely from the picture. Third, there was a consideration for improving the overall access to justice. This last element is particularly crucial in the conceptualization of the seminal use case of AI by the Indian judiciary. In fact, in his address on India's National Constitution Day in 2019, which is November 26, our president, who is also a lawyer by profession, acknowledged the necessity for improving access to judgments and court orders in local languages. He launched the neural translation tool that I mentioned earlier called SUVAS, which was an algorithm using natural language processing and is fluent in 9 Indic vernaculars. The creation of SUVAS is quite interesting. At present, it is only being piloted in a few courts across the country with the objective of translating judgments in court orders. However, its underlying model can allow it to be a much more versatile translation tool, which can be used for any kind of legal documents. SUVAS is an impressive technological intervention for two broad reasons. First, in a country like India, which has, as I mentioned, over 600 different judicial districts, and each district has its own linguistics and dialects, the publication of English only judgments has often been critiqued for being exclusionary. Furthermore, the use of legalese in judgments adds an additional layer of incomprehensibility, even for people who are typically fluent in both written and spoken English. However, translations in local dialects are likely to address these issues. Secondly, the typical cost, both in terms of time and money, for manual translations is often a significant challenge for both lawyers and litigants. Finding trained linguists, to undertake copious amounts of manual translations is exhausting. And this process is not exceptional. It happens frequently and is quite common to litigation practice and court proceedings in India, especially before appellate courts. In this context, the possibility of a versatile, accessible, and cost and time efficient translation algorithm eases the rigors of procedure and ensures better access to information and justice. It also must be pointed out that India's usage of AI at this point has been starkly variant from how international use cases have occurred, where AI has predominantly featured in either case management tools or case research and analytic tools or predictive justice. India's pilot of a translation tool, I would say, considers the unique subjectivities of the Indian justice system and demonstrates a thoughtful manner of improving access to judicial information and through it to justice delivery in general. In addition to SUVAS, which is already a pilot in progress, there is also great potential in legal robotics to aid better access to judicial information and consequently improve decision making on the part of litigants. We actually explored this in a strategy paper that was published and released earlier in April this year by the then Chief Justice of India, Justice Bobde. We envisioned the judiciary to integrate interactive bots on their respective websites on courts and online portals, as well as through physical kiosks at court premises. These bots would be able to aid litigants in real time with a basic understanding of the legal provisions that may affect their own facts or cases, and also court processes and protocols. It's akin to how chatbots work in many online platforms which have been offered to consumers on Facebook, a lot of insurance websites, etc. And also, I would like to mention that it's not an unprecedented kind of technology. It's already something that exists, for instance, in virtual courts that have been set up in China, where they have conceptualized and deployed these kind of robotic aids. So, in conclusion, I hope this quick session has been able to give some detailed insights into how India has trodden on this path of a more techno-efficient judiciary over the last 2 decades, and the hope and direction it now seeks to head into. And with that, I would just like to conclude and say thank you.